Welcome to AK Anime Explainer. Today is explanation of Soul Land 3, Legend of the Dragon King Part 135. Without any delay, start explanation. Yuan Yehue stared at Tang Wulin in shock. Golden scales covered his chest, shoulders, and right arm. He held Yuan Yehue's fist in his scaled hand. Although she held back at the last second, he had stopped her punch far too easily. He had grown even stronger. Xie, on the other hand, gazed at Tang Wulin in admiration. His was broad and imposing, and it instilled a sense of safety into Xie. Tang Wulin sighed. Could you stop for now, Yuan? Help me understand what's happening here. How did Xie offend you this time? This is all your fault, Yuan Yehue growled. She shot a glare at Tang Wulin, and ran away. Tang Wulin turned to Xie, his golden scales fading away as he gave him a curious look. What did you do now? Explain from the beginning. Why is she so mad? I saw something I shouldn't have seen, Xie said with a strained smile. He explained exactly what happened without omitting a single detail. As Xie recounted the events, a nervous expression formed on Tang Wulin's face. It seemed some blame really did lay with him. To keep her promise to guard him, Yuan Yehue had chosen to risk washing herself in the courtyard, and Xie happened to return while she was doing so. It was actually hard to say who was at fault here. Unlike the previous incident in which Xie looked into Yuan Yehue's room on his own, this time was just a coincidence. It wouldn't be fair to lay all the blame on Xie. All three of them shared the blame this time. Soon after Xie finished explaining things to Tang Wulin, Yuan Yehue returned fully clothed. Her face was ashen, and her gaze was glued to Xie. It held a ferocity that could tear him to pieces. This was the second time he had peeped on her. The second time. She refused to believe that was mere coincidence. I'm going to beat that bastard to death. Xie stared back at her in abject awe. Tang Wulin had no choice but to step in to mediate. Yuan, I'm really sorry about what happened. It's all my fault. This happened because you promised to guard me. He scratched his cheek awkwardly. Xie didn't mean to peep on you. He wanted to surprise us by returning early. He only just got here, so he barely caught a glimpse of you before you noticed him. Xie, hurry up and apologize to her. No matter how Tang Wulin framed things, Xie was still in the wrong. He had violated Yuan Yehue's privacy. Xie bowed deeply, his head low. I'm sorry. It's my fault. I shouldn't have returned without telling you. I barely saw anything, I promise. Although Xie said this, Yuan Yehue's bare womanly charms were seared into his mind. He had been enchanted by her tempting figure bathing in the sunlight. He harbored no dark desires, he simply admired her beauty. Even after she transformed into her Titan giant ape form, he found her stunning. Yuan Yehue fought to control her ragged breathing as she held up 2 fingers. That's 2 times now. 2? He's an agility type. Who knows when he arrived? How could I possibly trust him when he says he only got a glimpse of me? And even if he were telling the truth, a glimpse is still unacceptable. Xie remained silent, maintaining his deep bow. Yuan, I really am sorry. Tang Wulin said hastily. This is my fault. As an apology, how about I give you a spirit alloy with a harmony rate of 85% or higher, no charge? No way. Yuan Yehue shouted him down. Are you saying my body is only worth a single spirit alloy? Tang Wulin smiled awkwardly. Then what do you want to do about this? We aren't adults yet, and Xie truly didn't peep on purpose. It was just an unfortunate coincidence. Tell us what you want to happen and we'll do our best to make it so. Yuan Yehue glared at him. Of course a guy attracted to other guys wouldn't understand the value of a girl's body. I just want... Wait. Tang Wulin raised a hand to interrupt her. Wait just a minute now. What did you say? Yuan Yehue realized what she said and averted her gaze. Sorry, I shouldn't bring up your sexual preferences here. My bad. But still. Hold on. Tang Wulin shouted this time. Where did you get the idea that I like guys? Who told you that? Stunned, she slowly raised a finger toward Xie Xie. He did. He said you and Yu Zhengyu. Tang Wulin whirled on Xie Xie, a grim look in his eyes. Huh? Xie Xie looked at Yuan and Yehui in astonishment. Didn't I explain things to you? That was just a misunderstanding. Tang Wulin clenched his fists, then turned back to Yuan and Yehui. You thought I was into guys this whole time. Yuan and Yehui finally picked up on the fact that something was amiss. She looked back to Xie Xie and barked, when the hell did you explain anything to me? Just listen to me. Xie Xie sputtered, shaking his head frantically. It was all a misunderstanding. Desperate to save himself, he hastily explained what really happened between Tang Wulin and Yu Jingyu. Tang Wulin clenched his fists even tighter. He tilted his head as he stared at Xie Xie. Not only did you cause a misunderstanding, you spread it as a rumor too. Why don't you tell the rest of the academy while you're at it? Yuanan, I understand what you're feeling now, so tell me, who's beating his ass first? Me or you? No way. Boss, I made a mistake. I just forgot to explain things to Yuanan. Xie Xie begged. He no longer even entertained the idea of running. With both Tang Wulin and Yuan and Yehui working together, he had no hope of escape. Tang Wulin flashed a brilliant smile at Xie Xie, grabbed him, and pulled him to Yuan and Yehui, maintaining his smile the entire time. It's unfortunate that this guy is such a bastard. I won't try to protect him anymore. He's all yours. Tang Wulin pushed Xie Xie toward Yuan and Yehui before returning to their room. Yuan and Yehui locked eyes with Xie Xie. She raised her hand and made a fist. Xie Xie shut his eyes tight, his face contorted in fear. He didn't move an inch. He blamed himself for seeing what he shouldn't have. He was prepared to face her wrath. Yet even after a minute of torturous waiting, he didn't feel the pain of fist connecting with flesh. All he heard was the cries of birds in the distance. Xie Xie slowly opened his eyes, one at a time. Yuan and Yehui wasn't facing him anymore. She was running back to her room. He could see something twinkling under the sun as she fled. It was a tear falling through the air. He moved to catch it, blurring from one spot to another, and it landed in his palm. He had no real reason to do this, but the sight of it made his heart throb with pain. If I knew this would happen, I wouldn't have come back early. Xie Xie returned to his room in a daze. When he entered, he saw Tang Wulin sitting cross-legged on his bed. Boss, all of this. What's done is done, Tang Wulin interrupted him. You're just unlucky. There's no point piling more misfortune onto you. So, she didn't beat you? Xie Xie shook his head and looked down at his feet, forcing out a bitter laugh. I would have preferred it if she did. Instead, she cried. Tang Wulin looked Xie Xie up and down, examining his forlorn friend. Do you like her? Her? Xie Xie looked up, his mind clearly blank. Moments later, he nodded slowly. But it's hopeless. After all this, there's no way she would like me back. I don't understand the ways of the heart, but I do know that, no matter what happens, there is always a chance as long as you try. Give up, and your chances are zero. Think about that. I'm going to get some food. Xie Xie watched Tang Wulin walk out the door before laying down on his own bed in a daze. The image of Yuan and Yehui's figure flashed through his mind. He remembered each and every one of her frowns and smiles. She was already deeply imprinted on his heart. He leaped to his feet, ran out the door, and found the basin Yuan and Yehui had been using to wash herself. He also found her dirty clothes laying on the ground and threw them into the basin. Then he grabbed the other basin filled with water and cleaned up the courtyard. Once the courtyard was neat and tidy, he washed Yuan and Yehui's dirty clothes and hung them up to dry. He brought the basins back to where she usually kept them, surprised to discover just how much he knew about her. All who remained on the working student dormitory grounds were Yuan and Yehui and Xie Xie, the former in her room and the latter still loitering in the courtyard. Xie stared holes at her door, biting his lip and clenching his fist. Wulin is right. There's a chance if I try, but none if I sit around moping. He steeled his resolve, walked to the door, and knocked. Yuan, I washed your clothes for you. They are hanging to dry in the courtyard. You can go grab them later. Caution peppered his voice. Not a sound was heard from within the room. Several moments later, Xie spoke again. Yuan, Captain went to get some food. We're the only ones left here now. Can I talk to you? I want to be honest. Screw off. Xie winced at first, but immediately settled with slapping his cheeks twice. Determination glinted in his eyes. I'll just say it from here then. The first time I saw you naked, I was stunned. I didn't see anything clearly, and before I knew it I was beaten into a pulp by you. But if there was one thing I realized at that moment, it was that you were a girl. So I decided to help you clean the place every day. Sweep the floor, wash the windows, dust things off. I didn't know what else I could do for you. Inside her room, Yuan Yehue's rage burned hotter as Xie began his monologue. The longer she listened, however, the more she surrendered to an unseen force, standing up from her bed and staring at the door in a daze. Then helping you clean the dorm just became a habit for me. I felt uneasy whenever I couldn't tidy up. Honestly, I don't regret what happened. If not, I wouldn't have known that you're a girl. You're so beautiful. Being ignorant of that would be the greatest mistake of my life, and I'll gladly receive any punishment to avoid it. Later on, I came to understand that my habit wasn't tied to cleaning. It was just an excuse to see you every day. My heart ached on the days I couldn't. It's for that same reason I returned early to campus. He sighed. Originally, the plan was to show you guys how much stronger I got when I came back after cultivating earnestly at home. But I just couldn't focus. I could never bring my mind off Shrek. I wanted to return as soon as possible the entire time. I've only realized the truth recently. I didn't miss Shrek. I missed you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for peeping on you again. But I really didn't do it on purpose. And I really only got a glimpse. Although I did get a clearer look than the time before, it was still only a glimpse. Yuan Yehue couldn't bear it anymore. Her fury bubbled out of her throat. Go to hell. Xie coughed, then continued, I shouldn't have seen it, but as a man, I feel responsible. So let me take responsibility for you. Yuan, please marry me. Be my wife, won't you? Silence descended. Xie's heart raced, so much that he could hear it pounding in his ears. He swallowed. Yuan, I think we're quite a match while you're in your normal form. I think I'm pretty handsome too. We're still young though, so we can just get engaged for now. I can get approval from my family at this moment, and then we can get married for real after we graduate. I promise to take responsibility and take care of you. The door burst open. Yuan Yehue stomped out. At last, Xie saw a beautiful smile on her lips. Even with her eyes red and swollen, there was no denying the beauty of her smile. Yuan. Xie stepped forward. I'll help you on your way out. Her expression suddenly changed. Gone was her smile, in its place a grim mask. Her body swelled with muscle as she grabbed him by the lapels of his shirt. Flexing every muscle in her body to draw up maximum power, she threw him into the air. Xie streaked through the skies like a shooting star out of the working student dormitory grounds, his screams trailing his shrinking form. With that, Yuan Yehue shrank back to her normal size. She glanced at the clothes Xie washed, then took them down and returned to her room. She slammed the door shut behind her. Sun with rays. A towering tree in Spirit Ice Plaza shook. Xie fell through its branches, fortunate enough to have them cushion his fall. He landed face first, shooting up to his feet a moment later. Holy shit, that scared me, he exclaimed, gasping for breath. He scratched his head awkwardly. He didn't know if it was right for him to like Yuan Yehue or not. Such a violent girl. Whoa! A flying man. Interesting, someone said joyfully in the distance. Huh? There's still people on campus? They didn't leave for vacation? Xie looked up to see a middle-aged man smiling at him, his build as average as they came. He wore his hair short, and his small eyes shone with warmth. A toothy grin that wasn't quite whole, a front tooth chipped in half. He swept the floor with a broom, giving the appearance of a neighborly uncle. "Uncle, who are you?" Xie asked. The man's face froze. "Uncle? Am I that old already? Boy, you were really quick on your feet just now. Are you an agility type?" Xie chuckled. "Uncle, you really do deserve to be Shrek's janitor. You can even tell I'm an agility type." A mischievous smile played across the man's face. "You shouldn't underestimate people. Boy, how about we make a bet?" "What bet?" "I'll stand right here. If you can snatch this broom from me within 10 minutes, you win. Otherwise, it's my win." Xie shook his head. "No thanks. There's no point. I'll bet you 100 contribution points." "Even us janitors get points," the man said. Xie smirked. "Uncle, now you're just gifting me 100 points. You work a hard job, so I'll still have to say no." The man's face soured. "Huh? I wanted to win some points from you for breakfast. I didn't think you wouldn't even have the balls to accept such a small bet." Xie felt his chest tighten. It was an easy bet anyway. He simply had to snatch the broom from the man's hands while the man stood still. "Fine. I'll take you on." Xie's figure blurred the moment the words left his mouth. He reached the man in an instant, his hand stretching for the broom. After spending so much time with Tang Wulin, he had learned a few cunning tricks. "Whoa!" the man cried out, letting go of the broom. But this act caused Xie's hand to miss the handle. The broom fell onto the man's toes. Xie stepped in and stooped low to grab it. The man turned, the broom sticking to his foot as if glued on. Xie missed again. "Huh?" Xie's eyes went wide. He realized now that this was no ordinary man. His competitive spirit was stoked. His figure blurred again and his speed doubled, his daggers materializing in his hands. The man kicked the broom back into his grasp. He faced Xie with a huge grin. "Come on. The clock is ticking." Xie remained silent. Using Ghost Shadow Perplexing Step, he surrounded the man with his after-images. It was near impossible to pick out the real Xie. However, the broom came alive in the man's hands. It jumped, danced, and twisted around, avoiding Xie's grasp each time, no matter the angle of attack. Through it all the man didn't move a single step, his lower body practically motionless. "I refuse to believe this," Xie cried. His third soul ring lit up, a clone splitting from his body. Now he controlled 4 hands at once to snatch the broom. Not a single crack marred the man's smile. He gently swayed in place, moving the broom out of Xie's grasps by a hair's width each time. For a while, their figures overlapped as Xie continued his assault, and the man easily evaded. There was still plenty of time left in their bet. Xie drew out all of his strength, pushing his speed and control to the maximum. Yet even with both clones moving fast enough to blur, even after he tried every trick in the book, the broom always eluded him, swerving beyond his fingers at the last moment. Xie clicked his tongue. At this point it was clear as night and day that it wouldn't be easy to win against the seemingly harmless man. But he couldn't admit defeat yet. He refused to. As long as there was time left, he still had a chance. "Time's up." In a blur, the broom struck both Xie and his clone on the head. The clone and original fused back together, and Xie groaned in pain as he gasped for breath. "Who sent you flying earlier?" the man asked, brushing aside their bet for the moment. Xie's expression froze. Not a word left his lips. Unlike the man, he was still fixated on the bet. He could have sworn that the broom had been in his hand several times, but in the blink of an eye, it disappeared. Well, regardless of who threw you, it's obvious that your skill doesn't match up to theirs. Passable speed, but compared to your peers your skill certainly leaves much to be desired. You won't be able to keep up like that. The issue isn't with your stance, but the moment you strike. You react too slowly, so your target has plenty of time to attack, counter, you name it. He shook his head. This also means your lethal power isn't enough. For an agility type, lethality is even more important than speed. Do you understand? The man said, all smiles. Xie studied him, eyes narrowing. Agility types are all about fast attacks. Why would how lethal I am be more important? Because attacking is the core of everything. Speed allows you to catch up to your target, but what's the point if you can't take them out? With all those mechas and battle armor out there, who doesn't have a strong defense nowadays? Your attack power isn't enough. All you have is speed. Raise your dagger for me. In his shock, Xie had forgotten to withdraw his martial soul. Without properly understanding or registering the order, Xie's body obeyed and held up his light dragon dagger. A breath later, and the man's figure twisted out of sight. Xie missed it completely. All he felt was a prickling pain in his shoulder and a light push on his dagger. When he whipped his gaze to the direction of his pain, hungry and curious to see what had just transpired, his eyes went wide. A strand of hair pierced through his dagger like the world's most flexible needle, caught and impaled into the flesh of his shoulder. What happened? That's just hair. Confused or otherwise, there was no denying reality. The erect hair loosened and went limp. Pouring a bit of soul power into his dagger, Xie easily destroyed the hair. But his shoulder still stung. He couldn't fathom what had just happened. Lethality, speed, and power are all related. Once your speed reaches a certain level and you can concentrate all your power into a single point, lethality will naturally follow. Boy, you still have a long ways to go. Convinced and won over, the beat of excitement drumming in his heart, Xie said, "See, can you teach me?" The man shrugged. "Pay up for the bet first. I'll teach you for a bit after." Okay. Xie immediately took out his contribution points card and paid the man 100 points. "Since you just got back, we'll start tomorrow morning. I'll be waiting for you here." "Got it. I'm Xie by the way. How should I address you?" The man smiled. "I'm Liang Xiaoyu. You can just call me Big Brother Liang. Some people also call me the Rising Sun of the West Mountain. It's because my family lives on the west side of a mountain, and back then, we had a super handsome guy in our family. He moved to the city later on and became a superstar. All of the people in my village say I look like him, so they started calling me that." Xie fought hard to keep a straight face. "Big Brother Liang, honestly speaking, there's a bit of a gap between you and being handsome." "Huh? Isn't it just a small difference though?" Xie glanced at Liang Xiaoyu's balding head. "Also, you should stop using hair to stab people. I doubt it's any good for you." After a moment of silence, Liang Xiaoyu shouted, "Serves you right to get thrashed." Sun with rays. Tang Wulin, famished as he was, decided to curb his hunger at the noodle shop Shulushi had recommended. According to his teammate, the noodles were absolutely divine, especially the ones lathered with a thick meat sauce. He recalled the conflict between Yuan and Yehui and Xie earlier. As soon as he had awakened from breaking the fourth seal, his feet brought him to the site of all the commotion. When he had stopped Yuan and Yehui's flying punch, he felt the power coursing within him. His blood essence had surged through his body like a dense river. Although it had cost him 4 unbelievably expensive spirit items to break the fourth seal, he could tell by his astronomical increase in strength that they were well worth the price. But on this exact moment, Tang Wulin hungered. It clawed at him. The energy of the Golden Dragon King, rather than grant him relief from this, only stoked his hunger. He could tell that his meridian channels had grown wider following the breaking of the fourth seal. All the more reason for more nutrients to fill the new space. Tang Wulin's soul power had grown denser as well. As it condensed, the space it occupied in his dantian had shrunk, allowing him additional space to do as he willed. In light of this, he concluded that he needed to redouble his efforts. At his current cultivation speed, he feared he might not gain his fourth ring by the time he turned 15. Improving the speed of his cultivation was a must, for he couldn't become a 6th-rank blacksmith until he had the foundation of a soul ancestor. All he could do was work even harder. After devouring 10 bowls, Tang Wulin stretched his body, his mind wandering back to Xie Xie and Yuan and Yehui. He couldn't help but crack a smile. Those two really do have an affinity with each other. Well, whatever. I'll just let them sort things out themselves. Although Xie Xie's luck was horrible, he still had many avenues he could use to settle the problem. Tang Wulin was confident the two would turn out just fine given enough time and space. Tang Wulin took out his communicator and called Wu Zhongkong. "Are you back?" Wu Zhongkong answered the call in his usual cold voice. Tang Wulin felt himself relax. "Yes, I've returned to campus. Teacher Wu, when should I visit you in the inner court?" Tang Wulin asked. His vacation was already halfway done, but he still had much to do. "You can come right now. Just head to the inner court and I'll be there to receive you." "Okay." After quickly paying his bill, Tang Wulin did just that. Eager he was to test his limits now that his blood essence had strengthened and he had gained a second blood essence soul ring. Hopefully the ring granted him a ranged ability. Standing by the gates to the inner court, Tang Wulin heard only the occasional gentle breeze and his own thoughts. The gates were open, revealing a crooked path leading inward. Not a single person stood guard. It appeared easy for anyone to just waltz right in, but Tang Wulin knew that it was anything but so. Shrek Academy was a holy site for soul masters and a den of dragons for enemies. I wonder if Big Sis Mo Lan is awake yet? The Holy Spirit Doluo really is amazing at healing. When will I be as strong as her? His thoughts lay with the Holy Spirit Doluo's powerful soul rings. The sight of 6 black and 3 red rings had sent tremors down to the depths of his heart. He was still an insignificant boy when compared to her, person who stood at the peak. He felt his heart calm, his mind relax with every step farther down the crooked path. A gentle breeze weaved through the trees, a clean scent refreshing his mind. His clothes soon began to stick to his skin. He was nearing Sea God's Lake. He walked past several sculptures, the legendary Shrek 7 monsters of ages past, and rounded the curve onto the lakeside. The lake glittered under the sun, the waters clear to the bottom. A few aquatic plants sprouted from the wet dirt, breathing life into the lake. Just as Tang Wulin was about to make a call to Wu Zhongkong, his eyes caught the figure of a boat embarking from Sea God's Island. The boat slowly floated toward the shore, an impassive Wu Zhongkong at its bow. He was dressed in his usual white robes with his hands folded behind him. A light breeze picked up the ends of his robe and hair. A mystical ascetic. Damn! Teacher Wu is handsome. Those white robes look so cool. Tang Wulin stared, entranced. I need to get a set of white robes in the future too. I'll get some as soon as I graduate. The boat slid up to the shore right in front of Tang Wulin. Get on, Wu Zhongkong said. Once both of his feet were on the boat, Wu Zhongkong urged it to float back to the island with a wave of soul power. I heard about what happened on the train. You met an evil soul master? Wu Zhongkong asked. Yes. They are sinister people. You can't compare them to ordinary soul masters at all. If you meet one in the future, be on full alert. So that you're aware, you've been marked by their organization. Don't leave campus for any light reason, and if you do, tell me first. Tang Wulin nodded. Teacher Wu, mark my words. One day I'll be strong enough that I won't fear the evil soul masters ever again. A fire lit in his heart at the mention of them. He wouldn't forgive those bastards who treated life as lightly as grass. The moment Tang Wulin set foot on Sea God's Island, the sharp edge of his determination, while still present, slightly dulled, calmed by his surroundings. He felt invigorated, the air thick with energy. His blue-silver grass perked up, tendrils uncoiling and stretching to take it all in. Giant mulberry trees towered over the heavens. Their trunks were thick and weathered by time, their branches holding up a shield of leaves that protected Sea God's island from weather, be it rain or thunder. It was Tang Wulin's second time here. Still, his experience was different from the last. He could peer deeper into the mysteries of the island. Perhaps it was because he had reached the spirit sea realm and his perception abilities increased. Tang Wulin followed Wu Zhongkong into the heart of the island. As his eyes wandered around, he noticed another boat approaching the shore. A girl stood in the boat, her silver hair waving in the wind. She looked about 13 or 14 years old, dressed in red uniform. As a stronger breeze picked up the bottom of her dress and her flowing hair, his breath was taken away. She's pretty. If Tang Wulin had to admit it, he was quite easy on the ice himself. And his teacher, Wu Zhongkong, was the definition of an icy prince. When he laid eyes on this girl, however, any sort of immunity to beauty he might have carried withered into ash, and he found himself lost in a heat of infatuation toward her. Gentle silver eyes. Slender legs. Simply too charming, a fairy of the lake. Not a single flaw could be found in her features, as if her face had been carefully sculpted by the greatest artist in the world. Despite her youthful appearance, she had the makings of a woman already, curves rounding out her figure, an elegant air around her. Tang Wulin could hardly piece together thoughts at the sight of the girl, let alone speak. Red was the color of the inner court, her uniform marking her as a member of those elites. But didn't Xu Lixi and Yi Xinglang get booted out for not being battle armor masters? Is she actually a one-word battle armor master already? No way. HM? Because the footsteps behind Wu Zhongkong went quiet, he paused in his steps and looked back. For his efforts, he was given the unseemly image of Tang Wulin's dumbstruck face. He moved to Tang Wulin's side in a flash, and chopping his student's head. Tang Wulin yelped, waking from his stupor. Teacher Wu. Wu Zhongkong followed Tang Wulin's gaze to the silver-haired girl, then angled his gaze back to his student. What are you staring for? Is she an inner court disciple? Wu Zhongkong nodded. Disbelief colored Tang Wulin's face. But, doesn't the inner court only accept battle armor masters? That rule was just implemented, right? Does that mean she's a one-word battle armor master? Wu Zhongkong shot a look at him. She isn't. She's special. How come? She's the Pavilion Master's only direct disciple. Of course she's special. There's no need to doubt her potential. She will be one of the continent's powerhouses in the future, so the Pavilion Master decided to take her in and nurture her. Tang Wulin's eyes went wide. Naturally, he knew what the Sea God's Pavilion was. It was the organization that stood at the very top of Shrek Academy, administering the Academy's laws and choosing its direction. He had heard many rumors about what sort of person the Pavilion Master was, but not once had he received a concrete answer. The identity of the Pavilion Master was shrouded in secrecy. Not even Wu Zhongkong mentioned the Pavilion Master save for this time. Yet despite not knowing anything about this illustrious figure, Tang Wulin still harbored deep reverence for them. There was no doubt in his mind that anyone who could hold such a position was powerful and worthy of respect. Let's go, said Wu Zhongkong. He spun on his heel and continued onward. The girl's boat docked off in the distance and she made her way into the island on another path. Her figure quickly shrank into the horizon, disappearing with her long strides. I don't know why, but she seems familiar. Tang Wulin furrowed his brow, bothered by a strange feeling he couldn't place, an incessant nagging in his inner thoughts. But in the end, he hurried after Wu Zhongkong. When Tang Wulin caught up to him, he asked, Teacher Wu, what's the name of that inner court disciple? Wu Zhongkong glanced at him. And just how old are you again? You're too young to get distracted by such things. Focus on cultivating. Tang Wulin pouted. Teacher Wu, I'm not like Xie Xie. She just seemed familiar. Maybe I've seen her somewhere before. All men think a pretty girl looks familiar when they first lay eyes on them. Wu Zhongkong wasn't willing to entertain Tang Wulin, cutting off any advancement of the inquiry. His voice clipped. Discouraged, Tang Wulin could only follow in silence until they arrived at Shuoisha's small house. Xinyi was meditating cross-legged on a stone bench in the front courtyard. Tang Wulin could vaguely make out dark green streams of air converging around her. Her soul power fluctuations thrummed with steady power. Yet Tang Wulin also found a sense of comfort in it. He felt an affinity for her since they both possessed plant-type martial souls. Since Xinyi rarely revealed her strength, the only thing that Tang Wulin could pick out was that her martial soul was in some way related to vines. But he did know that she wasn't one to be taken lightly. She couldn't be. She was a teacher at Shrek Academy. At the very least, she was a two-word battle armor master. Wu Zhongkong led Tang Wulin into the house. To Tang Wulin's surprise, Shuoisha was sitting in the living room. Shuoisha's face lit up the moment he saw Tang Wulin, a warm smile forming on his lips. He beckoned for Tang Wulin to come over. Tang Wulin advanced with quick steps and bent into a slight bow for his grand teacher. Enough with that. No need to be so polite. You've shown enough respect already. Shuoisha was pleased with his grandisel. He had watched Tang Wulin's team's match against the Imperial Sun Moon Soul Engineering Academy and had only words of praise for how the team handled the match. More specifically, how they handled facing two soul fusion skills and sealed their own victory. That had been no easy feat, but his feelings of approval didn't end there. A few days earlier, the Holy Spirit Dolor had informed him of how much she liked Tang Wulin's personality. That was when Shuoisha knew for certain his grand disciple was a treasure, a youth with a kind heart and a sound mind on how to show respect. Thank you for the praise, grand teacher. Tang Wulin smiled. You taught me Dragon Shocks the Heavens last time. I've mastered it, so may you teach me another skill now. Tang Wulin clasped his hands together, trying to calm his fidgeting fingers. He was eager to learn more. Dragon Shocks the Heavens helped him so much in the past, and he knew for a fact it would continue to help him in the future. In fact, it was only second to the mysterious Heaven method in terms of effectiveness. He had high expectations for what he would gain from the next skill. Shuoisha nodded. No need to rush. Of course I have more to teach you. But first, show me your Dragon Shocks the Heavens. Let's move to the courtyard. Tang Wulin had no complaints, obediently following Shuoisha out. This was a good chance to test how much stronger he grew after breaking the fourth seal as well. Shuoisha walked to the center of the courtyard and beckoned to Tang Wulin. Come. Give me your best Dragon Shocks the Heavens. Yes. Tang Wulin positioned himself 10 meters from Shuoisha. Spectating from the side were Wu Zhongkong and Xinyi, who had awoken by the time the grand disciple and grand teacher pair stepped foot into the courtyard. The two teachers understood Tang Wulin's strength well. They had watched him mature with their own eyes since his arrival at Shrek Academy. They had witnessed his explosive growth after breaking the third seal. Although his soul power was hardly special, his combat prowess and leadership skills could be summed up in one word: exceptional. This video will end here. Like video and subscribe to my channel.